That's
Great. Yeah, it's phenomenal to meet you. I just got to listen to some of the recordings that you do on your website, and
oh,
yeah, it's
okay. I
amazing.
have okay, sure, sure.
Sure, sure.
No, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not sure if I posted already my records on the website because I haven't really posted much yet in terms of my music. I'm just like teasing it out, but like I've already made some albums and some singles from before, but I haven't really published it yet because um, specifically the reason why I'm really like excited to meet you and to work this economy thing out because I think that the discussion about money is very important in terms of how we're going to change the world. Because maybe you're familiar with frameworks like Charles Eisenstein's "Living in the Gift,"
Oh
and
yeah.
I think that I think that money can't be taken out of the equation altogether. Um, in such a drastic or rapid way because we've been so used to it and the way that we exchange value and the way that we think about um, things is very much related to money. And like for example, I was talking to a friend. She's also a healer, and she's been trying to help people by giving them like these opportunities, um, like money and like resources as a hand up, but it became a hand out, and then people take it for granted, and they also have the sense of entitlement. So I think that what you're discussing, like we're giving our hearts and we're giving everything that like our talent can give and can show to people, but not being entitled to like being lazy, like oh this is just for free or this is just by donations. No, we're still giving our heart and we're still doing our best. So I guess it really ties in with effort. But yeah, I would like to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, there's a lot I think about that because I've been living in this lifestyle for this this year. It'll be 4 years. So I've learned a lot about it. I feel like I humorously say that I've given myself a master's degree with everything
Mhm.
I've learned. So I actually want to know how I can best serve you. What is how can I best serve you on this call right now? What would you like from me? What can I offer you as what you're curious about? Anything that would serve you best?
I guess the main thing is like what is your specific let's say business model. If there's a better word for it, please let me know, like of navigating with your gift economy model. Like what does that model look like?
Okay, great question. The reason why that's so great is any kind of research you've done. Charles Eisenstein lives in a gift economy. Have you heard of Amanda Palmer?
Not yet, but I would love to
Yeah.
research her later.
I can send you her link.
Hmm.
She gives her music fully in a gift economy. I also have a little community in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the U.S. Um,
Hmm.
are you originally, you're in Hong Kong right now?
No, I just used Hong Kong as a time marker, but like it's the Philippines. It's both GMT plus 8. I'm in the Philippines right now.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's a little community in Salt Lake City, Utah, and there are several people who live within the gift, and they're all doing it totally differently. And that's the thing is that we are leading this. There's
Hmm.
no one right way of doing this, and so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I like that. I like it. It's very personal to me. So my answer will be totally different than I like to give the example of this man who lives in a gift
Yeah.
economy in Salt Lake City. His guidelines are that he doesn't want to touch money at all. That's not
Hmm.
so that's he does everything with gifts of service and
Hmm.
exchange and
Yeah.
things like that. And I believe just like what you said at the beginning, money is just one of the gifts and I have
Hmm.
no barriers. I'm a
Yeah.
wide open receiver of gifts. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have set up a Patreon account where people are giving me gifts on a monthly basis just so that I can
Mhm.
continue on in giving free concerts to other people. So I
Mhm.
have finally, so for the last 4 years, in April, it'll be exactly 4 years that I've been living in the gift economy. And I have, the way that I've done it is 100% gift economy. That means that all of my concerts, all of my music downloads, all my energy work that I do, it's all been 100% gift. And the reason why is because I had to know for myself, it's a personal experiment. I've had to know, is my inner soul's purpose more powerful than bills?
Mhm.
I had to know that, and I had to go all the way down deep inside of it. And so I have learned that it is. Now I've had a lot of learning. I've had a lot of, roller coasters all over the place, but I have now proven to myself that I can do it. That my inner core dream, my soul's purpose of why I'm on the planet is more powerful than my bills. Now, I have now proven that. So now I'm actually shifting so that I want more than anything to give my concerts for free and my music for free. And now I'm open to other ways of receiving money or other gifts, that it doesn't have to be just so 100% anymore, because I've already proven it to myself.
Yeah, I get you. I had a similar experience because before I used to also do live performance for nonprofit organizations and these music festivals, mostly for free. But like um, I got my fare, like transportation and my food and everything fixed, and I made a lot of friends. So I also, in a way, also proved already to myself that it's about just really staying true to our purpose. And I think that um, that healer friend I told you about and I were talking about it, and I think that the gift economy in all of these extreme cases, or like what you say, um, to prove to yourself that your sole purpose is stronger than all the bills. I think that this is the overcompensation for the other side of the world, where people are so greedy and people are like all just caught up in the money economy, and that they throw compassion out of the window. And I think that the the truth is something in between, like that we know how to navigate and deal with money, but at the same time we keep the spirit of the gift. So
There
I
it is.
think that,
That's it right there.
yeah, yeah, I think that for me, like I've always been thinking about this, like how do we really navigate the economy in such a way that we restore the humanity in our relationships rather than it just being about money. So I think that right now, for example, I'm working with also that healer and other healers, and we talk about like, okay, is this price okay with you, or like for example, are you okay with making this track for $100? And because it also depends on their own capacity. Like some healers are like high ticket healers, they can charge $1,000 for a client, so they can easily pay you 100 $200 just for a track. So I guess it's all in the way that we talk about value in such a way that we adapt to the situation of the person, rather than, for example, that a person can only pay $100 but you charge him $1,000, um, and you don't care about his financial situation. I think it's about having compassion and also thinking about like the monetary aspect of value. And I think that us as people who went to the extreme of gift economy are balancing out the greed of the past. What do you
That's
think about that?
That's exactly, Eric, you're so spot on. I'm so grateful for this conversation because, ooh, I'm getting chills everywhere. when I decided to go out on this experiment, I've been out and doing a gift economy model in all of my concerts, and not one time will I ever preach that this is the way, ever.
Mm-hmm.
What I was actually feeling like I was doing is serving the collective consciousness by going extreme, because we have
Yeah,
to go extreme with greed and
exactly. Yeah.
so I was kind of doing my contribution of evening it out, so that we have now this balance of
Yeah.
let's find out what our boundaries are. Let's make sure that
Yeah.
the gift is given in joy. Let's make sure that people feel like they're valued when they're offering the gift and when they're receiving the gift. And let's not think that we're all just giving free handouts and saying,
Yeah.
"Score, I'm out of here." Like let's make sure to have that boundary. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm just I feel like you're so spot on. You and your community are really getting that
Mm-hmm.
next leap forward, so that we actually can within ourselves take responsibility for what we have been. We all have that greed. We
Yeah.
all have that desire to give. We have both, and we're now figuring out how do we make this so that it enmeshes into the culture we want to build.
Yeah. And definitely, Emily, because I think that at the end of the day, we're all just elements seeking balance. And like what you said, we went to the extreme for us to know our boundaries. You know, what does it mean to really, because I also have experienced in such a way that I gave everything until I had nothing. And like, there were also people who took advantage of me, like people who were parasites, and they're the ones who are stuck in the other side of the paradigm. And
There it is.
now I've realized that, and now I know how to protect myself as well, because I think that living that wound out makes us capable of even sharing that wisdom, that we have experienced the lack of compassion in that sense of like using other people um, in a very personal way. I mean, in my experience, maybe I'm perhaps and probably you also experience something like that, of being used by people. And I think that the business and the compassion can be merged together, as you said, to create that sense of harmony that, hey, this is a service and this has value and I'm providing it, but I know that you're a person just like me, and I'm looking at your specific situation. It's like there's a quantitative factor, like with the pricing, and there's also a qualitative factor with looking at a person's specific case. So I think that that is very much where we're headed in terms of a business. And just one more thing, Emily. I think that the future is about us being conscious entrepreneurs, sharing value with each other, ra- and having our own thing going on. And I think that it's very important to have that, instead of what we were trained to do, just like to be employees of someone else, rather than having our own vision and our own trust in our capabilities in marketing our own value. So yeah, that's
Well, I was just going to add to that this is the importance of conversations like this, Eric, is that people did take advantage of me, and yeah, I let them, because it was me experimenting, it's them experimenting. It's so easy in the old archaic way of saying this amount, this unit equals this amount of a dollar amount. That's an easy understanding. If that worked all the way, we wouldn't need to change it, but it's not working all the way all by itself, because of all of the reasons why our economic system is not working. I won't go into all of that, but so what we need is people like this conversation, so that we can actually redefine even what wealth means. Wealth means people who know how to give with boundaries, other people who know how to receive with an open heart and not feel guilty about receiving. We need a community of people saying, we know how to offer our gifts in a profound way where everyone feels taken care of and everyone feels valued, with the gifts being a contribution to our little village. It's part of the dialogue of the education of articulate people who know what we're talking about. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why you and your community are really imperative. That's why people like me going out and being brave, for crying out loud, being out there and being full on gift economy, so that we're like, oh, that's how we do it. And now we're redefining what wealth means. Wealth means people who are offering their hearts full on, with being their full contribution without fear, fearlessly living their dream as the entrepreneur they want to, the artist that they are, the whatever their gifts are to the world, they're fearlessly living that dream and being their full contribution to the whole. And then we have people who are receiving it, and then bringing in money too, it's all just like this interconnected place of what wealth can look like. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
wealth means defining how much you have in your bank account. It's very much, and it doesn't only mean just how many friends you have. That's the thing, is that there we go again with this balance. We had no
Mm-hmm.
idea what we were going to talk about on this call, but we were really saying the same thing. It's this,
Yeah.
it's that coming into the balance of all of it together and redefining what wealth is as a culture.
Yeah. Definitely,
So cool.
Emily, and I think I'm grateful that we're talking about these things, and I think that just as you said, we're re-expanding the vision of wealth, and I think that as artists, as light workers, as people who are raising the vibration of humanity, I think that all in all, we're talking about the things that people are too afraid to talk about. The taboos in our society.
And why do you feel like people are afraid of talking about what
I
are they
think
talking about?
I think that the three biggest taboos of humanity are money, sex, and God, and those are the three things that because we shy away from, we are not living in our true power. Because, um, for example, in money, which is basically what we're talking about, and the most let's say basic thing in society right now, we're so we don't even know, like most people don't even know how money works. I mean, the reason I think that most of us light workers have this sense of like um avoiding of money, like to a certain extent, is because we know about the fact of the Federal Reserve, right? And how there are certain groups of people who are leeching off the value of everyone else. Like they're just adding interest without even giving value. And this is a symptom of the greed that, as I see it, is like an illness inside their minds, because um, they're not experiencing real wealth. They're not experiencing wealth in terms of their own well-being. That's why they are disconnected, from everyone else. And I think it's that sense of disconnection that makes them even, be parasites to other people in the first place. And so we need to restore that into a way that money is sound, in terms of like how the labor and the effort is what's being paid for, rather than just someone piggybacking off a deal. There's like let's have less like middlemen, and be ourselves more, and like be direct entrepreneurs who really share value that is worth something, rather than just withholding something. And by force of coercion, like, okay, I'll only give you this if you give me that, and I'll hide this. It's that sense of scarcity, like connected also like to open source technology versus copyrighted technology, which I think is a whole other discussion altogether. But those are the three things. Like sex also is like there's lots of like the main like monolithic uh way of expression is monogamy, but the truth is, or like heterosexual monogamy, but the truth is now we're expanding this, re-expanding this, so that people can rediscover what their own sexual truth is. And I think that that's another thing that we as light worker artists need to talk about. Like, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be you, because everyone's different. Everyone has different preferences and tastes. And especially the last taboo, which is God. And I think that this is one of the biggest taboos and the biggest sources of conflict, because how we think about God is how we think about purpose, is how we think about existence. And right now, like, we're disintegrating this idea that, okay, my God is better than yours, or like my way of expressing spirituality is better than yours. And I think that in order for us to truly advance together as humanity in unity, we have to learn how to settle this fundamental taboo, which I think is being explored by certain people like Dr. Eben Alexander, who experienced a meningitis. Maybe you've heard of him? No, not yet. Dr. Eben Alexander is a neurosurgeon that experienced a meningitis, I think, that shut down his brain completely, except the part for like really just primal survival. And he experienced a lucid, ecstatic state of consciousness wherein he saw so many things about life beyond the body. And so that's one of the strongest cases that science has now that other scientists who are materialists cannot disprove. It's like, yeah, his whole brain shut down and he still remembers this stuff and can say lots of like evidence that he was aware at that time. So I think that when we learn to treat spirituality in a more objective sense, rather than just spouting out opinions because that's what we heard when we were growing up, when we can do that already, then that's, I think, where humanity can really mature into like real spiritual adults, where we talk about things and when we can have a real basis of unity, rather than having this like sense of distrust, like, oh no, he believes something different, or he knows, he thinks something different. But like, okay, let's respect differences but really know what our common ground is.
And
so yeah,
I feel like one of the things that I have appreciated about the gift economy is that it allows a dialogue and a conversation to begin. It's really nice to say, oh, let's all just live in harmony and unity and big, world family. Well, how is that applicable? How is that pragmatic? And how does that work on a regular basis? Okay, so let's now start with the conversation of, this is what a gift economy is. We didn't make this up. This is indigenous tribes from the beginning of the world, and we are now just putting a spin on it with how we describe it. So
yeah,
so that it's a place to start with all of these ideals that we have, so people can say, oh, okay, so gift economy is what? No, I did not make it up. It's actually economists are talking about it as. I watched an interview with Charles Eisenstein with an economist, and he talked about like, well, I've been researching all these sorts of different models out there, and I came to interview you, Charles, because I, as an economist who has a degree, am seeing that this is the most sustainable for where we're going. And it's what the people actually want. We really want to be in our joy. We want to give gifts of joy, and not with that expectation. That's one of the biggest things I had to let go of, is if I'm out there being a performer and I have this gift economy model and I'm giving my offering as a gift, I can't then even slightly guilt my audience.
Yeah, the psychological pressure.
Exactly. And if I did that at the beginning so that I know the difference, because I had to learn. If I think in the old pattern of thought, okay, if I don't get this much money for this much time that I'm playing, then I can't pay this bill. I mean, it's like, that's the archaic way of thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I play more, then I can get more money, and then I can pay more bills. I mean, it's not the way it works. It's not 1 + 1, like that. It's, I give an offering of my gift with me connected fully to my heart. There's my gift, everyone. And then I get to walk away knowing that my contribution to the planet and to all of humanity just made a humongous difference. And
Yeah.
then I'm still open-hearted walking the planet. And then all of a sudden someone's like, hey, it could be 3 days later, someone says, I want to gift you this thing just because you are who you are. And I'm like, okay, I will receive it. It doesn't actually have to equal out like $50
Yeah. Yeah.
bucks in my
Yeah.
donation jar that night. And
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I've found is most people in the world want some element of this. They
Mm-hmm.
want to, and they're doing it all the time. People are babysitting for their neighbors' kids. They're making meals for each other. We're living in a gift economy already in little pockets here and there. This is just a really ideal way to at least put it in consciousness of giving and receiving gifts without any expectations. It's kind of great to talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'm resonating exactly with what you're saying, because I think that we went also that extreme way to share people. Like, it's about how you feel about relating with people. You can all, like, for example, a person in Wall Street has everything to do with money. Like, everything he does is about money. He is depriving himself of the wealth of, like, giving without expectation. And I think that it is, like, true that a quote says, some people are so poor that all they have is money. And that's true, because we haven't expanded, and that's why we're here. We're re-expanding the definition of wealth. We're not against money and material things. We're also just sharing, like, the fifth dimensional, like, sense of being of sharing value to the world without trying to, like, squeeze value out of the world, but, like, hey, this is me and this is my gift to you. And, like, that.
Having a relationship, that's how
Yeah.
I describe, and I won't say it right now,
Yeah.
much about it, but yeah, I like that you brought in fifth dimensional. That's just the words that we're using now with
Yeah.
just having us understand that we are rising, and
Mm-hmm.
and the basis of all of the mechanics of money alchemy that I teach is having a relationship with each
Mm-hmm.
other,
Yeah.
with money. It's
Yeah.
with your walls. I mean, with the air, having a relationship with the ground that you're walking on, having a relationship with the fruit you're eating. That's the basis of going into the next step into the fifth dimension, as I have been taught it with all the downloads and things I've received with doing this experiment. So yeah, I like that you said that. And I call it alchemy because it's exactly what we're doing. It's money itself, it's just paper, but we're actually creating gold. We're creating a golden lifestyle of what true, like, rooted foundational wealth can be. And it's golden, absolutely golden. And so I like that very much. Any other things that we can continue to talk forever? Anything particular about you that we can talk about? And I'll actually stop the recording if because I feel like it's like two segments. There's you and your ideals and what you want in your life, and then there's all of the theories that we're talking about.
Oh, sure. Sure. Feel free to stop it if you want.
Okay.
I've even in high school and in college, and, like, everyone was like, "Where's this guy from? Like, what planet is he from?" And, like, one of my songs, I want to just share with you real quick the chorus, because I think it's part of the wound that I'm healing through the music now. Feeling like an outcast, society going too fast, headed in a way that I don't wanna go. Oh man, I don't wanna sell my soul. Ooh. So something like that, like outcast. And I feel like we as light workers have become outcasts in one way or another, right? And I think that sharing our gift to the world is that sense of going back and being welcomed by the tribe as an esteemed member. And I think that shamans and pariahs from the past, looking at the stories of the tribes, it's the shamans or the people who are quote unquote crazy who outside the tribe and journey deep into the forests of consciousness. And then when they come back, they share a gift that the tribe then values, because like the shamans right now, the schizophrenic, the ADHD, the bipolars, these are just simply labels that are misdiagnosing our gifts as curses, But now it's going to be reversed, as we share our gift that will heal the planet. And I'm looking forward to co-creating that journey with you and with everyone in Lightworkers in a very respectful, harmonious energy exchange. Money or money are not involved. We're just people relating with each other, and we just want, to live a fully wealthy life.
Ah,
You know,
well, the world is a better place with you on it. Thank you for coming to the earth. Thank you for sharing everything that you have to offer. And I feel like you've just started. And I'm grateful that this is our first exchange. I'm glad we have it recorded because we're about to make some huge waves on the planet, you and I.
Thank you, Emily, and let's do this.
Let's do this thing. All right. Have a wonderful
Take
day.
care.
We'll talk later.
Talk later. Talk soon.
Bye.